They're yeah, they're good people. Cindy did my accelerate. She did the accelerated.
That's what she told me.
What's really funny is that her and the women that were in that class, they bonded. And so they all passed within like a day of each other. And the one's like, okay, we do this, we do that, we do this, I read this, I saw that. You know? They came into class every day. They were ready to rock and roll. Yeah. All right, team, chapter 6. Brokerage agreements. Now, you've heard me say many times already that other than Angel doing this for love, the rest of us are doing this for money, right? Well, chapter 6 is how you get paid, right? Right. So we're going to talk about brokerage agreements. Brokerage agreements are the bread and butter of real estate sales because it's an agreement between it's agreement between the seller or the buyer and your company for your services to help them buy or sell. So it is an employment contract. That's what it is. All right. And you're going to provide real estate services for a fee. Okay. So top of 88, highlight. A listing agreement is an employment contract between the sponsoring broker and a seller. A buyer representation agreement is an employment contract as well because it establishes the rights and responsibilities of the sponsor broker as an agent for the buyer. Okay, so to the left, write down, not an offer to sell. Not an offer to sell. Meaning, a listing agreement is not an offer to sell. It's an agreement between the seller and the company for our services. All right? Now, Illinois law says that you need to have a written or oral agreement between the consumer and the company. It keeps doing that.
That's why I moved this one from that one.
Between the consumer and the company for compensation. If you want to be paid, you got to have this agreement, right? And it gives you, the broker, the authority to represent them with third parties, okay? Now, the way it sets up is like this. There's two sides to every deal. What are they? No, I'm not a side of a deal. Two sides to every deal.
Buyer and seller?
There you go, buyer and seller. Excellent. So you got the seller on the left, you got the buyer on the right, right? And who's in the middle is the company. The sponsoring broker. Okay? Now, the sponsoring broker is run by who?
The manager.
The what?
Managing broker.
Managing broker, not the manager. Managing broker. Okay? And then you have the brokers that work for the managing broker and can work for each party, right? So what we're talking about here is the agreement between the client, whether in this case, here it's the seller, or the buyer, and the company for your services as a broker. Now, when you work for the seller, they call you two names. Tell me what you think the name is.
Listing agent?
Listing agent / listing broker, correct. Listing agent, listing broker. And what else do they call you?
Real estate agent?
And both. You're a real estate agent for both. They call you the seller's broker. Okay? Keep in mind, agent, broker, interchangeable. Doesn't matter. Okay, on the buyer side of the deal, there's three names that they call the broker. What is it?
The buying agent.
Buyer's broker.
Buyer's broker.
So buyer's apostrophe S. What else? No thoughts? They call you the selling broker. And they call you the cooperating broker. Okay? Now, the reason I'm giving you this is because on the exam, they're going to refer to it as sellers and selling. People get this wrong all the time. They think the selling broker is the guy who works for the seller. That's not true. The selling broker works for the buyer because they're selling it to their clients. Okay? So you just got to make sure you've got it very clear in your mind who they're asking you about, right? So what this chapter deals with are these agreements, the brokerage agreements. Okay. Now, before we get into the agreements, page 88. Page 88, third paragraph down, highlight in the whole paragraphs. In most states, either by statute of frauds or by specific rules from real estate licensing authorities, exclusive brokerage agreements must be in writing to be enforceable in court. Oral agreements are not illegal, but they're not recommended because they cannot be enforced in court. Okay? Just checking that. All right, so the statute of frauds says that these agreements that you're going to enter into with your client, whether it be the seller or the buyer, have to be in writing to be enforceable in court. So I don't know why you want to enter into any agreement that isn't enforceable. So you should always get stuff in
Writing.
Very good. In writing. All right. Now, we are going to deal with this chapter primarily from the listing point of view. Okay? We're going to spend most of our time on the seller side of the deal. However, all the rules that I'm going to call out for the seller side of the deal applies the same way to the buyer side of the deal. All right? They're just going to have a couple of different names, which I'll show you at the end of this chapter. All right? So what I've first done here up on the screen is I've given you a visual representation. And it's two different ways. I added the second way over Christmas. So it's an upside down pyramid. The widest part is at the top, right? And what that means is for you as a broker, when you sign an exclusive right to sell listing agreement with a client, you have the most coverage to be paid. When you sign an exclusive agency, you have less coverage. When you get involved in an open listing, forget it. So green, yellow, red. The only one you should do is the top one, the exclusive right to sell. Okay? So I want you to get that mental picture. I'm going to walk you through all three of these. Number one, the exclusive right to sell listing agreement. When I sign an exclusive right to sell listing with Angie, okay, what it means is that if I, the listing broker, find a buyer for her home, I get paid. If another broker finds a buyer for the home, Bill brings us Angel, I get paid. If Angie finds a buyer for her home, I get paid. So there's three instances as a listing broker to be paid. I get paid in all three instances. I'm a happy guy, right? Because I'm going to get paid for the work that I'm going to perform for Angie, right? Now, when I sit down with her, well, before I sit down with her, the exclusive right to sell, the exclusive part is when Angie signs this listing agreement, she is appointing one person exclusively, one broker, to represent her interests, and it's me. I'm going to be her designated agent from yesterday, right? So that's what you want. You want to be that one guy, okay, that gets paid all three times. Now, when I sit down with Angie, she says, Art, okay, I understand what you're telling me here. However, my brother-in-law is thinking about buying my house. I say, okay. She said, so to be quite honest, if my brother-in-law buys my house, I don't want to pay you a commission. I say, well, Angie, here's the deal. When we sign the listing agreement, I'm going to put my machine in place to get your house sold so you can get the Malibu in 60 days, right? I said, so generally, I don't exclude people from my listing agreements. Because if I'm doing the work, I expect to be compensated. However, for you, here's what I'm willing to do. If your brother-in-law puts a contract in, buys your home in the next 2 weeks, I will, you won't have to pay me a commission. And all I ask is that you reimburse me for any marketing that I put out at that point, signage, anything that I've done. Is that fair? Yeah. Okay. So I told her that I don't exclude anybody. Why did I just do that?
To cover yourself.
Yeah, but why? I could have just said no.
Well, because otherwise you might lose her as a customer.
Maybe, but that's not why. No. No. I don't have to work with anybody who wants me to exclude people, do I? There's no discrimination. I don't know the brother-in-law. Okay? Think about it. It's human nature. What do I know about her brother-in-law?
And he doesn't have an agent.
No. If the brother-in-law was going to buy, he would have bought before she ever talked to me, right?
Yeah.
She's talking to me because she's not sure. Now, so what I'm willing to do is I'm willing to lean in and give you the impression that I'm giving you what you want. But I gave her a deadline, 2 weeks, right? What I can't have is say, yes, we'll exclude the brother-in-law. And 4 months from now, the brother-in-law gets a bonus at work and says, okay, Angie, now I can buy your house because now I've done 4 months worth of work for nothing. That ain't going to happen, okay? So I excluded him, but for a very short period of time, knowing full well there's no way in hell he buys. And if he were to buy, so what? As long as she makes me whole, I'm fine, right? But this is the only listing agreement you carry with you. You do not carry anything else. If somebody says, do you have any other options? And I go, well, you could have this blank one or this blank one. It's the same form. Okay? I don't offer anything else because I know the value of what we do. Got it? All right. So the next one, the exclusive agency listing. Now, just like the exclusive right to sell, the exclusive agency says Angie, the seller, appoints one person to be her exclusive agent, right? And that one person is me. But what an exclusive agency listing says is that if I bring a buyer, I get paid. If another licensee brings a buyer, I get paid. But if Angie finds her own buyer, I don't get paid. How do we feel about that?
I mean, as agents, it's terrible. Yeah,
Right,
we
well,
want to get
what's
paid.
my
right?
other choice?
Right.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to play that game because here's what this is. This is a glorified FSBO. I put it in the MLS, right? I get people in there, but if she finds her own buyer, I don't get paid. And you don't know this right now, but you'll learn this, that when you put a sign up in front of somebody's house, sometimes people driving by who don't have a realtor, they're like, well, let's just get out and see if the lady will show us the house, the person will show us the house. So you knock on the door, they're like, yeah, we saw your sign. Oh, come on in. Is she going to pay me because somebody saw my sign? No, I found my buyer. I don't have to pay you. Well, you found your buyer because my sign was in front of the house. So we are not doing this one. I had a woman in class a couple years ago, Maria, who she said, me and my boyfriend, now her husband, me and my boyfriend, we only sign these with realtors. She was in class and saying this. She goes, because we do fix and flips, right? She goes, we only sign these with realtors because we tend to talk about our houses more than they do. So why should they get paid if they did you know, all that crap. So I said to her, your tune's going to change. And literally within 6 months, she went, oh my God, I didn't know what I was doing to other brokers. I didn't know how much work they put into this to get this going, and they were getting screwed. I'm like, right, we don't do this because you're just taking the chance of not being paid. So bottom page 88, last paragraph, highlight, in an exclusive agency listing, one broker is authorized to act as the exclusive agent of the seller principal. However, the seller retains the right to sell the property without obligation to the broker. The seller is obligated to pay a commission to the broker only if the listing broker or cooperating broker has been the procuring cause of the sale. Hang on one second. Okay, so that is the second one. You don't do that one. The third one is an open listing, also known as a non-exclusive listing. This is typically verbal. So Angie's at a party. She's walking around. She's introducing herself. She says, hey, what's your name? Oh, I'm Angel. Hey, Angel, what do you do? Oh, I'm a real estate broker. Oh, you're a real estate broker? Well, I'm selling my house. If you bring me a buyer, I'll pay you a commission. Angel's like, okay. She goes, Bob, what's your name? Bob, what do you do? Real estate broker. Bring me a buyer, I'll pay you commission. Anita, what do you do? Real estate broker, I'll pay you commission. Sally, what do you do? Real estate broker, I'll pay you commission, right? So what you have in an open listing is all these people who have licenses that are out looking for buyers. But let me ask you this, do any of you have it in the MLS? No. Do you have a sign in front of the house? No. So do you really have a listing?
No.
No. And keep in mind, the seller retains the right to sell to whoever she wants without paying you a commission. And of course, it's unenforceable because it's not in writing. So this is just the stupidest way to go for a real estate broker. It's not even really a listing. Okay? The way to beat this, though, is like this. I'm at this party. She introduced herself, and she says, hey, I'm selling my home. I'll pay you a commission. I said, oh, all right. I'd like to come and preview the house, right? So I go over there, and let's say I have a client in mind to preview the house, right? I don't take the client with me. I go, and I look around the house and say, yeah, you know what, Angie, I might have a client for this. She's like, that's great. I said, but before we go forward, and I pull out what we call a commission agreement, not a listing agreement. I don't want to list her house. I just want to put in writing the fact that if I bring her my client, she's going to pay me a commission, right? So in the paperwork, it says she will pay me 4%. And she's like, 4%? I would have had to pay a listing broker 5%. I'm like, I know, I saved your percent. And she's like, no, I don't want to pay 4%. Well, what were you thinking? Well, I was thinking 2.5%. And I'm like, oh, all right, well, okay, great, thanks. I got to go. Well, when you're bringing your person? Well, I'm not. What do you mean you're not? I'm not bringing my person. You're not agreeing to my commission structure. I'll take my person somewhere else. Because am I under any obligation to her?
No.
No. Do I have a listing agreement with her? No. Is she my client? No. So I have no obligation to you to bring you my client. If you don't agree to my terms, I just don't bring them, right? And she goes, well, what about 3%? I'm like, you're a high maintenance nut job. I'm not doing 3%. So I might go 3.5%, right? But I really want 4%, okay? So, and keep in mind, you only pay me if this person buys the property.
Right.
That's the mitigating factor. If they don't buy, you don't owe me anything. I'm okay with that, right? So that's how you protect yourself in a FSBO. Never take the client with you. Because invariably what happened is she's like, well, you know, you like my house? Oh yeah, this is great. If I don't have to pay that guy, I'll cut you a break on the price, right? What are you gonna do, Angel? You say, Art, it was nice knowing. Thank you so much. I'm gonna get a break on the price. Here's have some chocolate. You like chocolate? You're a fat guy. Here you go. Okay? Am I right? People will do what's in their best interest. But if they never see the house, because you're not going to show them the house, because these people aren't going to pay you the commission that you want, don't show them. That's simple. Okay, so that's an open listing. We never do that. So the only one we do is the exclusive right to sell. That's it. Now, in chapters 14 and again in 5, we talked about when we're advertising, right? Displaying a for rent or for sale sign at any property without the written consent of an owner or his or her duly authorized agent is illegal. So when they ask you what is the minimum, and I don't know if you've seen this question yet. You might have on quiz 2. I don't remember which quiz it's on. But it says commercial owner, the listing runs out, and the guy's sign is still up there.
Oh yeah, it was on yesterday's
Okay.
quiz.
Okay, so that question is, what does he need to leave the sign up there? And what he needs, at a minimum, is written permission. He doesn't have to have a listing agreement. Although logically, you would say to yourself, well, why would you leave your sign up there if you don't have it listed? But you can't use logic in some of these. Okay, so the question is, what does he need to leave the sign up there? And at a minimum, you need written permission. You don't have to have a listing agreement, but you have to have written permission. Okay, same thing with advertising. Any advertising that you're going to do, for this property, that means for sale or for rent signs, has to have the written permission by the owner or their agent. Okay. Next, let's talk about a net listing. Oh, Angel, you're going to love this one. This is right up your alley. All right, so let's say Angie's the seller and you're the agent, right? And Angie says to you, Angel, you're new into this business, aren't you? Yeah. Are you hungry, Angel?
Yes, I am.
Do you want to make your mark? Do you want to show me what a great real estate broker you're going to be?
Yes.
Yes. So here's what I'm willing to do. Now, I'm Angie talking, right? Here's what I'm willing to do, Angel, is I am willing to let you list my property, but I need to net $180,000 out of this property. So you normally charge 6%, right? So instead of paying you your normal 6%, here's my proposal. This is me as agent. I will pay you every dollar over the $180,000 that you sell it for. Okay? Because I need to net $180,000, right? And let's see how good you are. Because if you're good, you can make a lot of money doing this, right? So, yeah. So, good deal?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great deal, right? So, Angel takes the exclusive right to sell, and Angie signs it. Very excited, right? Now, where do we go to celebrate after we get a listing?
To the bar.
To the bar. Very good. You're learning fast. You're going to be a good realtor. So he goes to the bar, and he sits down at the bar, and he starts doing some shots, because that's how he is. And there's a lady sitting next to me. She says, oh, looks like you're celebrating. He goes, oh, yes. I got a new listing today. And she's like, oh, you're a real estate broker? He said, yeah. She says, oh, I'm looking for a house. The shots stop. Angel's like, it's going to be a twofer today. And so he started drinking coffee, right? Yeah, that's right. A little Red Bull, whatever. He's like, oh, let's talk about what you need. She says, yeah, I'm looking for this house. And she starts describing the house. Lo and behold, sounds like Angel's house. And so you say, well, what price range is it? She says, $250. I can't go any higher than $250. So he says, well, I have a house that might work for you. And she goes, oh, how much is it? So he pulls a number out of his ass. He goes, $240. She goes, great, I'd love to see it. Right? So you set up an appointment the next day to see Angie's house. The woman walks through. She falls in love with the house. She puts an offer in for $240,000. How much you make in commission?
0.
Why 0?
It was
180.
180. No, I
Dude,
thought 280. Forgot.
no, 180. 180. You're selling
60.
$60,000.
Yeah.
It's a good day, right?
Yeah.
Now, let's say it's a company where they do the 50-50 split. So you're going to walk away with $30,000. Okay? What are you going to do with your money?
Go to the bar.
See, he knew what he was doing with the money, right? Come on, what else are you going to do with the money? What would you do if somebody handed you a check for $30,000? What are you going to do with it? Go on vacation.
Yeah, take a vacation.
Buy the kids some clothes. Maybe learn your kids' names. I don't know, you know. The fact that you have kids, you know, might be important, right? So the point is that every realtor, when they know that they've got a sale coming, they knows what they're going to do with the money.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy a new car. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that, right? You're very excited, right? Now, you make a scheduled appointment. Angie, I have an offer for you. She's like, wow, you're good. So you sit down. You're very excited. Slide in front of her. Here you go. $240,000. Angie, how do you feel?
I'm happy the house is sold.
Yeah.
Or that it will. There's an offer.
Yeah. But you're not really.
I don't think so.
So you're happy that this guy is going to make 60 grand off your house.
Oh well, yeah, in that respect.
What
But
about
it was your agreement, though, right? I mean,
it? Was,
that
but
it.
but you know, it's $60,000.
Right.
So she says, you know what, Angel? I was thinking about this. I don't think I was very fair to you. I don't think it's fair to you that I made you take that risk. So here's what I want to do is I want to renegotiate. You normally get 6%. I'm going to give you 7%.
Mm-hmm.
I did the math for you. It's $17,400. You get $8,700. You were expecting 30. You're going to get $8,700. How do you feel?
But
He's like, no. You agreed. We agreed. You signed the exclusive right to sell. No, I am not renegotiating. I am Angel. Hear me roar. Right? I did what you asked me to do. She goes, are you sure? He says, yeah. She goes, all right. So she takes the offer and she writes, rejected on the offer. Because there's nothing you can sign with her that says she has to accept an offer that you bring. You follow?
yes, but what about you found what did you say?
Procuring costs, ready, willing, and able buyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely 100% right. But remember, that doesn't apply to you. That applies to a broker bringing a buyer in outside of you. You have agreed that you get paid when it closes.
Oh, okay.
Follow? See why this sucks? Okay? So she just rejects it. And now you're out everything. See, what you got to understand about a net listing, there's a reason they're asking you to do this. And usually what they try to do is play to your ego. Come on, let's see how good you are. You get every dollar, right? The issue is she knows that if she has to pay you 6% to net 180, she's got to sell for about 192 to 193,000. She doesn't think it's worth 192 to 193. She thinks it's going to be worth less. And so instead of her taking the risk that it's worth less, she wants you to take the risk. Because what if it sells for 185? How much you make it? 5,000. What if it sells for 181?
One.
What if it sells for 179?
Zero.
Nothing. Right. So she doesn't want to take the risk. She wants you to take the risk. But she makes it sound like, let's see how good you are. They feed your ego about this. Anything above, right? But see, then human nature takes over. See, if you had sold her for 192, 183, she'd be like, all right, 196, 197, she's like, you go. I would say she'd probably hang with you all the way up to 199.7. But as soon as it hit 200,000, she was going to be like, wait a minute, he's making as much or more than I am on my house. I'm the one who lived there. I'm the one who put the sweat equity. Why should this guy make that money? So human nature takes over. And so does greed. So the bottom line on a net listing, you never do it. Because you might as well just write screw me on your forehead. Okay? So keep in mind, a net listing is legal, but it's considered unethical. And it's unethical because what does the fiduciary duty of loyalty say? Who remembers from yesterday?
You're loyal to your client
What did it say? Got to put your client's interests
first.
above yours.
Right.
If you're out chasing a commission, are you putting her interest above yours?
No.
No. So you could do it. You should never do it. You could do it. It's legal, but it's unethical. So when somebody comes up with that concocted a plan, you go, no, I don't play that game. Only don't play that.
Mhm.
All right, an option listing. Turn to page 90. Okay, to the right of option listing, just write down future, the word future. So what an option listing is, it's a listing that you as the broker take and give yourself, the broker, the option to buy this property at some point in the future from that seller. Okay? So you want to buy the property at some point. So let's say we go to Angie and we say, Angie, how much you want for this property? She's like $100,000. Now I look at the property and I realize in the neighborhood, if she actually, in the current condition, it's worth about $100,000. But if I put like 10 grand into it, we could sell it for $150,000, right? So I say, Angie, you know what? I'll take it off your hands. And Angie's like, okay. And then 3 months later, I'm reselling it for $150,000. How do you feel?
I feel like I'm screwed.
Right. Okay. But she says, Art, I really want to put it on the market. And said, all right, I want you to give me the option to buy it in the future. Okay. But here's the deal. The reason that I want it is because if you have the ability to put 10 grand in, I think I can get you $150,000 for this place. Okay. I give her the option in terms of the opportunity. And she says, what's that? What do you think I got to do? And I go through the list. She goes, if I do this stuff, you think you can sell for $150,000? I'm like, yeah. She goes, damn, I'll do it. Or she says, I don't have the money. And I said, so what I'd like to do is I'd like to buy it from you. And I'm going to tell you right up front, I'm going to fix it up and I'm going to resell it. But she at least got the ability to make an informed decision, right? Mm-hmm. Now, she might say to me, Art, I really want to just put it on the market. And so I say, okay, why don't we put it on the market, but give me an option to buy it in the future. So as long as I have given her an idea that I'm going to sell it and what the profit potential is, I'm okay. Because what used to happen is they'd start, you know what, Angie, I'm going to take this off your hands, right? Yeah. And they wouldn't tell her that they thought they could sell it for more. Because if they could sell it for more, like she said, she'd prefer she sold it for more versus me, right? Yeah. So again, this is where realtors got their bad reps, is because people felt they were using their special knowledge to take advantage of them. Okay. The multiple listing service, MLS. So the MLS requires seller consent, right? So before I can put Angie's house in the MLS, she has to agree to let me put it in the MLS, okay? And it's a cooperative relationship, which means I tell her up front, hey, I'm going to charge you 6%. Out of that 6%, I'm going to pay 2.5% minus $200 to anybody who brings me a buyer. And we said yesterday, there's no sub-agency in Illinois anymore, is there? So when you see sub-agency, you say, nay, nay, it's illegal. Only one of us represents her, me. Only one person represents you. It's Bill, right? So the presumption of the law is you're representing the party with whom you're working. And the source of the commission does not create the relationship between Bill and Angie. Even though Angie's supplying the commission to us and we're supplying it to Bill, he has no relationship with Angie. I do. Now, how do you terminate these agreements? I told you yesterday, the way we terminate agency is the way we terminate everything, right? So keep in mind, though, this is a little different because this is considered a personal service contract. They're hiring you for your services. So your failure to work diligently on their behalf is considered a breach of the contract. So you got to make sure you're doing what you said you were going to do, right? What are the reasons to terminate a brokerage agreement? Well, you can fulfill the purpose, meaning, you show up on, February 27th and you close, we fulfilled the purpose. She's on her way to she's on her way to Malibu. You get to do a house. Me and Bill get paid, right? Or come March 1, do I still have a contract with her? No, it's expired. So it has run out of contract. If the property is destroyed or she transfers the ownership. So if she just transfers the ownership to her sister, it did not sell, we don't get paid. I don't have an agreement with the sister, I got an agreement with her. Mutual agreement. So remember from yesterday, can she agree to mutual agreement? The client? Yes. Can I agree to mutual agreement? What?
No.
Can I agree to mutual agreement? Who's got to agree to mutual agreement?
Managing broker.
The managing broker's got to agree to mutual agreement. So I can't agree to it. She can agree to it, managing broker, but I can't. Death, we said yesterday, either one of us dies, that ends the agreement. Breach or cancellation without cause. Breach is obviously if we violate the agreement. I didn't tell her that you lost your job. She wants me to not sell to Catholics. Now, expiration. Let's talk about expiration for a minute. Go to page 96. Okay, so this is a sample listing agreement, all right? So in paragraph 1, go down about halfway. It says marketing period, check 1. I want you to highlight from blank through 1159 on blank. Here, slide it over here. I'll show you. Right there. Oh, from, just highlight that sentence. From blank to 1159 on blank. Up one. From. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so here's the way it used to work. If I was going to sign a listing with her, what brokers would do is they would sign a listing that says from today until it sells. We don't know how long it's going to sell, but from today until it sells. So, or what they would do is they would do a year listing, but it would automatically renew unless you give me in writing prior to 60 days at the end of the listing that you wanted to cancel. Okay? So what was happening is sellers were getting into these listings that kept going on and on and on, like she couldn't get out. There was no way to get out because the realtor was doing the minimum services. So it got to the point where sellers were like, oh my God, I'm just stuck in this listing. I'm never going to sell. I'm never going to get out. I don't think this guy's doing much for me, right? So they changed the law. And what the law says today is that as a broker, you must have a definite expiration date. So notice it says 1159 on, and you have to put a date in there. Okay? And there are no automatic renewals on any brokerage agreement, exclusive, non-exclusive, none of it. There are no automatic renewals. So if we're getting towards the end of the period, I could ask her to extend and then send her an extension form. I could send her a new listing agreement to relist it. But there are no automatic renewals on any brokerage agreement, whether it's a listing or a buyer's agreement. Got it? It ends when it ends. And your failure to specify the date is grounds for discipline.
And what happens on the MLS? You have it on the MLS, and your agreement expires. You have to take it off and back again every time. Some house that doesn't sell for it's too expensive.
Yeah. No. You would have to either extend it, or if you've got a new listing agreement, you let that one expire and you put the new listing agreement in. So keep in mind, and you don't know this yet, but on the MLS, it doesn't say when your listing agreement expires. You know when your listing agreement expires. Okay, so if she extends from, let's say it's the end of February and she extends to the end of May, I just leave it alone and let it keep going in the MLS. Okay, but if she says, I'm going to sign a new listing agreement, then I have to let that one expire and put the new one in as of the date that she signed. And actually, one of the new rules, it used to be you had 72 hours to change the status. They've moved to 48 hours now. As of, actually it's coming up, as of March 1st, I think, they're going to move to 48 hours. You got 48 hours to update the MLS.
What's the usual agreement time for sale of a home?
So it really depends on your company. Okay? So most companies will tell you to get a year's listing agreement.
Wow.
No offense to you. I cannot be in bed with you for a year.
No,
You would
that's
drive me insane. Okay? So I look at when you come to me. Like if you came to me today, what are we in, February? So I go March, April, May, June, July, August, September, 7 months. If you came to me in usually 7 to 8 months, 6 to 8 months tops. Because here's the deal. If I have the ability to market her house during either the spring market or the fall market, and it doesn't sell, there's only one reason it doesn't sell. What is it?
Too expensive.
Price.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. The price is too high for what she's selling. That's it. I don't care who you are. You're not going to get this property to sell for more than what the market's willing to pay for it. You could tell her you think you're going to sell it for more, but you're not gonna. So I don't want to waste my time.
The house might be worth, but if people doesn't like it for any reason, they don't buy it.
Well, but see, it's not worth it to them.
Right.
See, that's the thing. You know, people don't like houses for stupid reasons. Oh my God, did you see the color of the walls? Yeah, it's paint. Paint can be changed.
Cosmetic.
Right. But people, again, they get a feeling. They're like, yeah, it's not worth that to me. Okay? So that's the problem. Okay? But we put it out there and we leave it out there until somebody buys it, right? Okay, next. The broker protection or broker safety clause. Paragraph 4, just highlight paragraph 4. Seller agrees in such commission, highlight that.
The whole time.
Yeah, you could do all of 4. So here's what I'm going to tell you about listing agreements. Does anybody know what a listing agreement looked like 50 years ago? No, your hand.
Oh.
That's what it looked like 50 years ago. It was a handshake. Go list my house. How did we get from a handshake to 5 pages in 50 years?
Somebody who didn't honor the handshake.
Well, people got screwed.
Right.
Either the agent got screwed or the seller felt that they got screwed. So I always look at this as a living, breathing document. As people find different ways to screw brokers, we put as much protection in as we can. So paragraph 4 was added just because we got screwed. So here's what used to happen, is we would list the property, and the listing's going to come up here at the end of February, right? And let's say today you and Maria walk in, right? And Angie happens to be home, and she's like, I know that woman. I know that woman. Where do I know that woman? And then you realize you know her from the dog park. She walks her dog there with her kids, right? So you're like, So she goes on social media and she finds out Maria's name and finds out contact information. She calls Maria. She says, hi, Maria. My name is Angie. You and your husband were in my house today. And Maria's like, oh, yes, we love that house. We're about to make an offer. And Angie says, don't. She said, hold on. My brokerage agreement ends in 2 weeks. If you could wait the 2 weeks and I don't have to pay my broker, I'll split the difference with you. I'll give you a break on the house. What's Maria going to do?
Oh yeah.
Gonna wait.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah.
Right? Well, what was happening is we were getting owners as we got to the end of the listing period who would say to us, I'd like a list of everybody who walked through this house and their contact info that you have. Is that a legal request? Is that a legal
I would
direction?
say it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would supply her with the list and she'd start dialing for dollars, right? She'd start, hey, my listing agreement's up. If you're interested in my house, you can come and talk to me. And now that I don't have to pay my broker, I'm up negotiating, right? So it was really weird. After we've had it listed for 4 months, 6 months, whatever it was, the house sells inside of 2 weeks or 3 weeks. How did that happen? Well, what we found is that people were waiting till it went up, and then they would go negotiate with the seller directly. So this clause, paragraph 4, was put in here. It's called the broker protection or broker's safety clause. And what it says, if anyone that saw the house during the time that I had it listed buys the house in blank days, bless you.
Thank you.
I usually put 90 days, but I've seen people put 6 months on here, right? 90 days after the listing is over, you owe me a commission. So it protected us against shady owners who were looking to circumvent us and not pay a broker's fee, right? Now, where it changes is, let's say Angie, come March 1st, decides, I don't want to list with Art anymore, she's going to list with Angel, okay? Once she lists with another broker, my 90-day right is gone, okay? It's only for somebody who sells for sale by owner, because she might be shady and say, you know, it was somebody that saw it during the time that I had it listed. If somebody that saw it during the time that I had it listed buys when Angel's the broker, Angel's going to get paid. As long as a broker's getting paid, we're okay. I prefer it was me.
Yeah.
But versus her doing it herself without paying anybody, I'd rather it was you. Follow? So that's the broker protection clause. Next, you as a real estate broker working on a residential property are not allowed to put a lien on a client's property for your commission. Okay, there's no liens for commissions for residential properties. Okay, so in all the time that I've been doing this, I can't tell you of one time that I can think of where we didn't get our commission on a residential. Usually it's because people use their heart, right? It's residential, it's where we reside. Even though I'm not happy with everything Art did, let's just pay him so I can move on and go to Malibu, right? People generally pay this. If they don't, you would take them to small claims court to get your money or whatever the dollar amount warrants, right? However, it was way different for brokers working on commercial deals. Because what would happen to a broker working on a commercial deal is that the owner would use what I call his business brain or her business brain to make a business decision about paying you a commission or not. And so what it turned out is a lot of the commercial brokers didn't get paid commissions. So I'll give you an example. Let's go back to you being the agent, her being the owner, right? So she's got a property, not residential, but a commercial property. And she wants to sell it for $10 million, and you want to be her agent, right? And you tell her you charge 3%. So 3% of $10 million is $300,000. It's a good day, okay? So Angel goes in there, he sits down with her, you guys go back and forth. He tells you what he thinks he could do for you, and he says, you know, Angie, this could take 6 months, 9 months, a year to sell this one. Because there's not a ton of $10 million buyers laying out there, right? And she's like, I understand, but you're going to do your best. Yes, I am. And so he signs an exclusive right to sell. Sign the best one you can sell, right? Now, at the time, Angie is straight up going to pay you. She doesn't think anything else. She's happy that to get it listed, she's going to pay you, right? So you get this new $10 million listing, where do you go?
To the bar.
There you go. To the bar. That's right. He goes to the bar, and he sits down at the bar next to his friend Anita, who's another real estate broker. Like, Anita, let's celebrate. I just got this new listing, $10 million. And he starts telling her about it. She says, Angel, I may have a client for this. I have a commercial client that's looking for this kind of space. Angel's like, great, let's get him in. So the next couple of days go by, Anita brings in her buyer. You walk the buyer around. Right? Buyer loves the place, perfect for their purposes. They put the letter of intent in. And you guys negotiate. And they agree to buy the place for $10 million and close in 4 months. Everybody's happy. She's happy because she's selling. The new buyer's happy because he's buying. You two are happy because you're going to make $300,000 divided by 2. You bring $150,000. Your company, he brings $150,000. Everybody's happy, except one person who's not happy.
Seller.
Nope, seller's thrilled. You're the seller. You're thrilled. You know who's not happy? Her attorney, the seller's attorney. Because, watch, because the seller hands over the paperwork to the attorney. And the attorney goes over the paperwork and goes, Angie, let me just get this straight. Let me see if I'm reading this the right way. You're going to pay this guy, Angel, $300,000. And it looks like it's been 2 weeks worth of work. So you're going to pay him $300,000 for 2 weeks worth of work? And Angie's like, well, yeah, that's what it says. I got to pay him, for the thing. He goes, so you're going to pay somebody $150,000 a week? Angie, do you make $150,000 a week? So you're going to pay this guy $150,000 a week? She said, yeah. Because if I don't, I signed a contract. If I don't, he's going to sue me. The lawyer goes, I know. He goes, I've done this before. I know how this works. And she goes, what do you mean? He goes, here's the deal. We don't pay him the commission. She goes, what do you mean you don't pay him the commission? He goes, we don't pay him the commission. She goes, he'll sue me. The lawyer goes, I know. I'll represent you. Okay? He said, and what's going to happen, because I've done this before, is that this guy's company, we're going to drag it out, and we're going to drag it out, and we're going to drag it out. And this guy's company is going to settle for 50%. So you're going to write them a check for $150,000. You're going to write me a check for $10,000 for representing you. And you're going to walk away with $140,000 more.
Damn attorneys.
What do you want to do?
Follow his advice. Yeah, save your money.
Look how fast that went, right? Just like that. Click. Okay? Now,
That was easy.
that was easy, right? Because he's appealing to her business brain. You're a business owner, right?
It's money.
It's money, right? And he knows what the risk reward is, right? So they used to do this all the time. So brokers would get paid about 50% of the time, right? So now here's what happens. You go to closing. You're very excited. Anita's very excited, right? And you get the closing statement, and they go, oh, excuse me. There's been a mistake here. There's no money in here for the commission. I'm sure it's just a little error. And the attorney says to you, we're not paying you commission. He goes, what do you mean? You're like, Angie, you just don't talk to my client. We don't think you followed all the guy. You did what you were supposed to do. We're not paying you a commission. Now, as it stands, there is nothing to stop Angie from transferring the property over to the buyer. So the transaction's going to go through. And the attorney's going to say, you don't like it? Sue us. We've got $10 million. What do you got? Right? Well, your company's definitely going to sue them because that's a big ticket item, right? Yeah. But the transaction occurred. She got what she wanted was her money, right? Now you got to chase her. Like I said, this used to happen 50% of the time. Until 2010, when a guy I know, Jim Hockman, worked with the state legislature to pass the Commercial Broker Lien Act. Okay? So the Commercial Broker Lien Act says this, is if you're a real estate broker working on a commercial deal, okay, in the listing, if you have that she is willing to allow you to put a lien on the property once you find a ready, willing, and able buyer. Now, up front, Angie was straight up, right? She wasn't thinking of screwing you at all, okay? It's only till she talked to that lawyer, right? So Angie says, you sit down, you say, Angie, here's our listing agreement. And one of the paragraphs says that once we find your ready, willing, and able buyer, you're going to allow us, you agree to let me put a lien on the property for our commission. Now, again, if she's going to be straight up, she's like, yeah, of course, no problem. Because when are you going to remove the lien? At closing, when you get paid, right? So she's not worried about it because she's planning on paying you, right? So it's in the listing agreement. She agrees to it. Then you go out, you find the ready, willing, and able buyer, right? And you have, after that person has passed their contingencies, your company is going to put the lien on the property. And what then the law says is you have 10 days to tell her, Angie, per the terms of our agreement, we have put the lien on your property for our commission. The lien will be removed at closing. Okay? That's simple. Now what happens is when you go to closing, there is a blockage to that sale of $300,000. So if she doesn't pay you at the table, you don't remove the lien, which means the property is not going to transfer. Because is the buyer going to take the property with a $300,000 lien on it? No, they're like, hey, pay your bills, right? So the transaction itself forces them to pay you so that they can complete the transaction. So now there's this blockage. Now let's say Angie says, fine, the hell with you, I'm not closing. Lien's on the property.
Yeah.
The lien stays on the property. You've got 2 years to take her to court to say, hey, she blew up this deal. She owes us the money. We brought her a ready, willing, and able buyer. That's right. So you've got 2 years to do that. Okay? But keep in mind, that lien just stays there. Anytime she goes to sell that property, she's going to pay you. Okay? So that's the Commercial Broker Lien Act. The only person that can place this is the seller's agent, because it has to be in the listing agreement. The buyer's agent, Anita, can't place it on her because she didn't have an agreement with her to do that. You with me? That's the Commercial Broker Lien Act. Now, how do we price a property? Let's go. I think it's back a page or two, maybe a couple. Well, yeah, page 91. Last paragraph on 91. Highlight. Brokers can help sellers determine a listing price for the property by using a comparative market analysis, CMA. A CMA analyzes properties similar to the subject property in size, location, and amenities. Turn the page to page 92. In the middle of the page, highlight, it says the CMA is based on, highlight all 3 bullets: recently closed or sold properties, properties currently on the market, properties in competition with the subject property, and properties that did not sell, expired listings in the area. To the right of that last one, write down off market. Off market. So what a CMA does is it looks at the whole picture. What's sold, what's closed, what's active, what's pending, what's off market. So that we can figure out where her house fits in that picture, right? Now, what we're looking for in a CMA, or what we're trying to come up with, and the same thing with an appraisal, is we're trying to come up with the market value of the property. So, bottom of 92, last paragraph, highlight. The figure sought in both CMAs and appraisals is the property's market value. Market value is the most probable price the property would bring in an arm's length transaction under normal conditions on the open market. Okay? Now, to the left, write down range of probable sales price. Range of probable sales price. So the market value is the range that we think Angie's house is going to sell it. And the way that we come up with this is we use the market price. So at the top of the next page in the white space, write down market price. Underneath that, write down what the property actually sold for. What the property actually sold for. So, we will use the market price of other closed homes to determine the market value of Angie's home, okay? Now, the one thing I want to point out is they said arm's length transaction. What does that mean? Okay, so let's say I'm selling, Angie's buying. What side of my arm is Angie on? That side. What side am I on? This side. So we're on opposite sides, right? And when she says this is what the house is worth to be, and I say this is what the house is worth to be, when we agree, that's going to be the market price. So she's not my buddy. She's not my pal. She's not going to overpay me. I'm not going to cut her a break, right? She is just someone who says this is what the value is to me. That's an arm's length transaction. Now, anytime you sit down with a seller, you're going to do what they call a seller's net sheet. And what this is what will the seller net from the sale of her home, okay? So she wants $300,000 for the property, right? And so I sit down with her after I've got all the disclosures on the way and say, Angie, what do you owe on the house? Angie says, well, I have a $200,000 mortgage. All right, $200,000. Do you have any other? She goes, yes. I have a home equity loan for $20,000. All right. I know that I charge 6%. 6% times 300,000 is 18 grand. So I write down 18,000. Now here's a little tip from me to you. Never lead with your commission. If you start with 18,000, she's never going to get past it. She's going to go $18,000. Oh my God. But if you do 200, you do 20, 18 seems much smaller. Okay. Then I know, so we got 200, 220, 238. Then I know she's going to spend about 3% towards closing costs. That's another $9,000. You're at 247. And she's going to spend $5,000 in prorated taxes. So for her to break even on this house, she has to sell it for $252,000. Okay? So that means when we get to 275, 280, she knows she's going to walk away with, about $25,000. Okay? But let's say I sit down with her and she says, I owe $300,000 and the property's worth 270, 280. What do we know?
She's upside down.
She's upside down, which means if she has to sell it, what's that called?
Bring them on the table.
She doesn't have any money. What's it called?
Short sale.
Short sale. When do you as a broker want to know it's a short sale? Up front or down the line after you have it? Right, because it's a different animal, right? It's not a straight sale. You definitely want to make sure that you know it because you're going to have to market it differently than the other thing. So some people will say to me, I just think it's so nosy to ask people about their finances, about what they owe on this stuff. I'm like, dude, you got to know so that you could help them reach their goal of selling this property. I just had a student tell me a story maybe last week where they got everything done, they're at the closing, and they realize that they're short like $6,000 because somebody made a mistake in the math. $6,000. These people didn't have it. So now you can't go get a short sale because you're sitting at the table. And so I think what they ended up doing is some of the people tossing their commission and the, not all the commission, some of it. And then the buyer, I think, ended up paying a little bit more so they were able to actually get the house. But you don't want to be in that position. You want to know the numbers up front. And you want your client to know the numbers up front.
Good for the seller because otherwise he's not going to be able to sell anyway.
Right. She's got to know. I mean, it's not, again, sometimes it's harsh, but you got to know. Right? Now, here's the thing. It's not a listing until the managing broker signs it, right? Even though I did all the work to get her to sign the listing, it's not done until this guy signs it, okay? Remind me, we're not going to do the math and calculations today, so we'll skip those math questions. Now, what do you have to disclose as part of your listing? Well, 1, any material facts about the property. 2, if I had a financial interest in her property, I would have to disclose that in the listing agreement, that we were part owners of the property. If she wanted any special compensation, let's say she said $1,000 bonus to the seller's the selling broker, okay? We put it in writing, okay? And, of course, I want her to do the real property condition report. Who fills that out?
She does.
She does. Do we ever fill this out?
No.
No. And when do I want it?
Right away.
Right as we sign the listing agreement, the next form is that, right? So we all agree that she's a high maintenance nut job, right? So I originally asked for 6%, but she's been driving me crazy. So I go back to the original listing agreement, cross out 6, write in 7 initially. Am I going to get 7%? No, because the law says no changes in the amount of commission or time of payment will be valid or binding unless the change is made in writing and signed by both parties. Okay? Now, sometimes they're going to ask you, how soon after your client signs something should you give them a copy? And the answer for real is 24 hours. You should get them a copy for 24 hours. But on the test, they don't give you 24 hours as an option. So the 4 answers are immediately, 48 hours, 3 days, or a week. What do you say?
Immediately.
Immediately. So you choose immediately. All right. What's got to be in the listing? Well, number 1, the list price.
Right.
And I decide the list price, right? The agent.
No.
Who decides the list price?
Seller.
The seller. Hopefully with your advice.
Yeah,
But
give
the
advice and seller decides at the end.
Right. The seller decides. So she says, look, if you want this listing, fat boy, it's $300,000. I'm not coming a dime off of that. All right. Well, if I want the listing, I'll take it. If I don't, I'll walk away. Right. Commission. I told you there's a paragraph that says I charge 6%. Out of that 6%, I'll give 2.5% minus $200 to anybody who brings me a buyer. So she knows where the commission's going. Time of payment at closing. Time duration. We already talked about this. Got to be a specific time, right?
Mhm.
And then the signatories. Who do I need to sign the listing agreement?
Owners of the property.
Owners of the property and
The managing broker.
managing broker. All right, so let's talk about the owners of the property. So I say to her, are you the only owner of the property? And she says, well, it's me and my ex. What's his name? Bob.
Asshole.
Sorry, I don't mean to bring up acid flashback. Give me any name. I don't really care.
Let's just call him Bob.
Bob. All right. So Angie says, oh, yeah, well, there's Bob, my ex. And I'm like, okay, well, where's Bob? Bob's not available. He's a bit of an asshole. Okay. So I get Angie's signature. Should I put it on the market with just Angie's signature?
No.
No, because Bob may not be on board with this.
Right.
But if she don't tell you there is a second owner,
Oh, you'll
you
find
still
out.
put on the market.
Well, so here's the deal. You could put it on the market with one signature. But you got to understand as a broker, the other person's going to have to sign off on the contract and on the deed. So when do I want to know Bob's going to be a squirrel? Do I want to know it up front or do I want to know it down the line once I got a buyer? Right. So if she's got issues with Bob, I'm not Dr. Phil. Okay? I'm not going to be able to solve whatever issues you got with your ex. Okay? But if Bob's not on board signing this today, he ain't going to be on board later on.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking, because she might say, I don't want to have him sign right now, but I want to put it in the market. He'll sign later.
Yeah. See, that's what I call bullshit.
Yep.
I say, no, here's the deal. I've run into too many of these situations where the guy who was going to sign later didn't. So I'm not going to spend my time, energy, or anything until I know Bob is on board. Because if Bob signs a listing agreement, then I'm happy to put it in there. That's a step towards him signing and waiving his rights at the end. Okay? You can't take the chance. Because now Bob might be out of town and she might say, hey, Bob's out of town. And so I said, well, let me talk to Bob. I call Bob. Bob's like, yeah, you know what? I'll be back. And I'm happy to sign the form at that point. I might put it in to get it started at that point, but I got to wait for Bob to get back. Now, with electronic signatures, where are you? Unless you're in a cabin in Maine with no power, you could open this up, click the initials, and send it back. Okay? What else? The listing's got to include. So there's a space for the designated agent's name. Put your name in the space. Hello? It's your deal. Put your name in the space. It calls out what duties you're going to perform for her. The location of the property, what's the address? It says we're not going to be involved in non-discrimination, meaning we're not going to be involved in discrimination, no discrimination. We're not going to be involved in antitrust activities. It's going to have the property tax ID number, okay? It's going to have the type of listing at the top. What type of listing are we going to sign?
Residential. Single family. The agent.
Exclusive right to sell. Don't make me come down there and whack you. You're making stuff up. The exclusive right to sell. Under what authority? The state of Illinois. Obviously, has to have space for your brokerage firm in there So you have to put their name in there because they're entering into the agreement with the company. It'll have what real and personal property Angie wants. Remember the chandelier from day one? So we write in chandelier, or the stove is staying and the refrigerator is staying. All the stuff that's going to stay with the house, she tells you up front, and how to terminate the agreement. Okay? So all of this is in the listing that I'm going to ask her to sign. Keep in mind that Illinois law forbids you to leave blank spaces on any contract that you're signing. So all you got to do is, if it doesn't apply, you put not applicable, or you put a line through it, okay? And then here's my tip for me to you is, I don't care what kind of a contract it is, you have people initial every page. Even if it doesn't ask you for it, you make them initial every page. Because I can't tell you the hundreds of times people have said to me, this wasn't in the contract, this was added later. And I go, is those your initials? They go, yeah. They go, well, I didn't read that. Well, I don't know what to tell you. You're an idiot. Okay? It was there. You can't say it wasn't there if these are your initials. Now, when you sign one of these agreements, either with a buyer or a seller, as a designated agent, you are agreeing to provide 3 minimum services. Go to page 102. So 1, 2, 3, 4th paragraph down are all of minimum services. Highlight the whole thing. Okay, the paragraph and all 3 bullets. All exclusive brokerage agreements must specify that the sponsoring broker or through its sponsored licensees will provide the following required minimum services. So highlight the whole thing. The first one, you agree to accept delivery of and present to the client offers and counteroffers to buy, sell, or lease the client's property or the property the client seeks to purchase or lease. 2, you agree to assist the client in developing, communicating, negotiating, presenting offers, counteroffers, and notices that relate to the offers and counteroffers until a lease or purchase agreement is signed and all contingencies are satisfied. Wait, this means you're going to stay in the deal. Okay? And number 3 is you agree to answer the client's questions relating to the offers, counteroffers, notices, and contingencies. Now, go back to our 3 bullets. Take your pen and circle the first word. Accept, assist, and answer. Accept the first word of each of those bullets. You see accept, just the first, you're right. Accept, assist, and answer. The reason I'm making you do this is one of the questions on the state exam is which of the following is not a minimum service required by a brokerage agreement? And usually what they do, the one that's the wrong one, is they say you're required to advise the seller on the list price. See, that's what everybody thinks you're required to do. She's hiring me to advise her on the list price. But if you look at this list, that's not one of the 3 required by law. Got it? So what you're required to accept, assist, and answer. Anything else is the wrong one. Got it? Got it. How do you identify owners? Well, I go to the property tax roll, right? And I look and I see Angie and Bob. Now, I do this before I ever meet Angie. So then when I go in, I go, who's the owner? She goes, just me. And I go, who's Bob? Oh, Bob, the asshole. Yeah, I know he's gone. I'm like, well, Bob's still on title. Now, what do I know about her?
She's a liar.
Liar, pants on fire. So for damn sure, I'm going to have Bob sign off on this before I put it in the MLS, right? Because at some point, Bob is going to have to waive his marital rights. And so, again, when do I want to know Bob's going to be a squirrel? Right up front, not down the line. All right, so we said everything we've dealt with so far has been really from the seller side of the deal, okay? Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the buyer side of the deal, okay? Keep in mind that we talked yesterday about agency, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's really easy for mine and Angie's agency as the seller to be established because it's in the listing agreement, right? The buyer side, a little bit more difficult for people, okay? Because the lack of agency is now subject to disclosure. So remember how you were sitting in the house, Angel, yesterday, and I came by, and you didn't say anything? I could assume you're my agent because you didn't say anything else, right? So if nothing is said about agency, the consumer may now legally presume you are my agent. That's why what's the first thing we got to do anytime we meet a new consumer?
Are you working with
Are you working with a broker? Would you like to work with me? Established agency, right? Now, when we talk about the buyer rep agreement, the buyer broker agreement, right? It's the same thing as the seller. It's an employment contract for your services to help somebody buy a home, right? Now, I didn't do the nice little upside down pyramid here, but it's the same concept, right? Exclusive buyer agency, exclusive agency, buyer agency, and open. So the only one you carry is the top one, exclusive buyer agent. Because when you enter into an exclusive buyer agency, you are going to be paid 3 out of the 3 times that an agent can be paid. Now, here's the difference between seller and buyer. On the seller side of the deal, when I sign an exclusive right to sell, I am going to get paid all 3 times by the seller. If I bring a buyer, if another agent brings a buyer, if she brings her own buyer. In all 3 instances, the seller is paying. In an exclusive buyer agency agreement, what this says is if I find Angie a house and the seller is paying me a commission or pays a commission, then I'm going to be paid by seller. Okay, so that's number 1. If Angie finds a house and she finds one, let's say it's a FSBO, and they're offering commission, then the seller will pay. But if she finds a house that the seller isn't paying a commission, that's okay because you're going to pay my commission. You're agreeing up front to make sure that I make X% on the sale. So either the seller pays it or you pay it. And the third option is she goes and works with another broker. And that broker finds her a house. And that broker gets paid by the seller. That's okay because I have a contract that says you're going to pay me for the commission on the house that you bought. So the difference in this between seller and buyer is who pays me. Now, here's why this is important to you. I told you yesterday, I was going to teach you today how to protect yourself, right? Okay. This is how you protect yourself because what you're doing by signing a buyer agency agreement, the exclusive one, is you are having that buyer put some skin in the game. See, right now, if you don't have anything, by the way, I'm going to warn you this. I want you to remember this. I want you to remember this moment. This is going to happen. You're going to join your company. You're going to say, where are the exclusive buyer agency forms? Some agents get up and say, Angel, don't use those. Angel, buyers don't like those. You really should use those. Okay? They're going to, no. They're going to tell you all the things you shouldn't do with this. Here's what I'm going to tell you. I have found that realtors in the state of Illinois are a bunch of weenies. Mm-hmm. Okay? They're afraid to ask people for this form, to have it signed. They're afraid. In Tucson, I have a guy that we're friends with. In Tucson, nobody goes outside their office. No broker goes outside their office unless they have a buyer broker form signed. And my guy, Bob Zachmeyer, his agents, they say, we're happy to help you. Go, look, we want a $500 or $1,000 deposit before we take you out.
Wow.
Yep. Because if you use us and you buy, you get your $1,000 back. If you don't, it's non-refundable. Okay? Here, they're going to convince you that people will not work with you if you ask them to sign. Disagree? And it's utterly ridiculous. Because in every other area of life, people ask you to sign contracts, don't they? Who's ever had trouble with their car? Okay, you ever have trouble with your car?
Yep.
You ever drive it into one of those Firestone places or Goodyear places, and you go in, you say, I hear this clunking, whatever, right? They go, oh, all right. You know, what do? You sit down, you play Candy Crush, and they pull it in, they put it up on the rack, right? Then some guy with the grease under his fingernails comes by with the clipboard and says, okay, Angie, here's the stuff. And they always find stuff that you weren't worried about, but, there it is, right? And they say, this is what it is. And Angie goes, okay, great. This is cost? Yeah, fix it. They go, okay, what do they say?
This is what it's going to cost. You need to sign.
Sign right here. Angie goes, no, you know what? I'm not a signer. What do?
So, see ya.
They take your car down, they back it out, they hand you the keys and say goodbye. They're not going to do work on your car unless you sign the agreement that says you're going to pay for it. Why is a real estate broker less than a mechanic? Are we? I don't think so. So why should you work without a contract? And again, people are going to tell you, well, because buyers don't like it. I'm going to warn you right now. I could line up 10 buyers in front of you. Most of them, in fact, my night class, when I was talking about this, we've had 4 or 5 people in the last year that have gone out to look for homes. He said, nobody's ever asked. Nobody has asked.
Well, I guess that's just it, though. You're going to be the buyer, and you go to one agent who says, I need you to sign this, and you know that other agents won't. So do you go with the one agent because nobody else is doing it? You know what I mean? So that's the person that's asking you for it. So you're like, I don't want to do that.
Who are you?
I'm the buyer.
Buyer? Then goodbye. Because you might as well just tell me I'm going to screw you.
Right. But as a buyer, I'm not looking to screw you. I'm just afraid of signing a contract when you're the only one asking me for it. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but see, I've explained why it's important.
Right.
Again, it's my business.
Right.
You want to work with me, my job is to help you
right.
to find a home, right? And I'm going to find you your dream home under the parameters that you give me. But I don't work for free.
Right.
So I use a buyer-broker agreement so that we put together an agreement where you understand what the rules of our relationship are, right? And if you understand and you're willing to do that, I'm going to put 100% effort in, and I'm going to find you a home. Well, you go, well, make sure you find a home where somebody, is going to pay you a commission. Great. I'm going to show you those homes. It's your choice, okay? But that keeps her from going crazy. Okay, remember yesterday, the open house?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, remember I told you I had a way to fix the open house? The way to fix the open house is by making sure that your buyer signs a buyer-broker agreement. The biggest fallacy in real estate is people will say to me all the time, Art, I'm getting into real estate because I want to control my own time. Okay, I want to be my own boss, right? That's what everybody says. But most brokers don't know how to control their time. It's that simple. So, Angel, she's your client, right? She's been your client for 2 months. You're looking for various houses. Do you have a niece or a nephew? Give me what's his or her name?
Carlos.
Carlos. How old is Carlos?
He is 12.
Well, we're going to make Carlos 3 for a minute, all right? So, Carlos is 3 years old. You are his favorite uncle. The sun rises and sets on you. He wants to be like you when he grows up. Carlos wants to be like Angel, right? And tomorrow is Carlos's 4th birthday, and he's your favorite nephew. So you went out and bought a big-ass stuffed bear. Very excited to give it to Marcia.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So tomorrow's the party, right? So tomorrow you're driving over there, going to give Carlos his, the guy, Carlos is going to think you're in, right? Phone rings. It's Angel. Carlos. Sorry, wrong guy. Angel. She says, I found it. I found my dream home. And Angel's like, that's great, Angie. She says, and they're having an open house right now. Now, keep in mind, you didn't sign an agreement with her. What are you going to do?
You're gonna drop
What are you going to do?
If I don't have a contract,
With her. Yeah. What are you going to do?
I'm gonna go to the party.
You're not going to the party. If she walks into that house without you, you're not getting paid. Remember procuring costs, right? You're going to go, sayonara, Carlos. And you're going to turn the car around and you're going to go meet her at the house. Because if she walks in that house without you, you're not procuring costs. Remember procuring costs? Yeah. So you're going to turn the car around and you're going to go. And you're going to walk her in because that's the only way for sure 100% you're going to get paid, right? So he walks her in and she walks around for a while and she goes, this looks so much bigger from the outside. It's not my dream home. Who controlled your time? She controlled your time, right? But if you have a buyer broker agreement with her, and she calls up and says, Angel, I found it. You say, great. She said, they're having an open house right now. Now, you say, Angie, I'm on my way to an appointment. Do you have to tell her where you're going? No. And just like with you, when I have an appointment with you, I have to focus on these people. So I am unable to come and join you. However, I understand that you really want to go in the open house. Just keep in mind that if you go in the open house and this is your dream house, and they choose not to pay my commission, just remember that you're responsible for the commission. B1, B2, B3. Angel, are you available anytime in the morning? Angel says, let me check my schedule. Oh, I have time between 10 and 10:30. She says, great. Make an appointment to see this house. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 10:30. Who controlled your time? That's right. You know why you were able to control your time? Because you had the stick. The stick says she does not want to be on the hook for your commission. And if all she has to do is not go into that home before to not owe you a commission, she'll wait. The problem is you got all these goofballs running around that don't have any skin in the game. Well, it doesn't matter. One agent is as good as another, right? That's not true. Okay? And some people like to hurt, people, just what you were saying, people don't like to sign contracts. It's real simple. Let me ask you this. You're married, right? Okay, Maria. How long did you date before you got engaged? How long did you date?
Over a year.
Over a year. Okay. How long were you engaged?
3 months.
3 months. So you gave her a ring?
Yeah.
Okay. So Maria took the ring and she said, yes, I will marry you. But she goes, you know what? I think I want to date a few other men before we get married. Did she do that?
Way.
Did she do that? Why not?
She had a contract with the ring.
Because she was committed, right? Once she got the ring, she was going down the line, right? Well, what I'm saying is we're not looking to marry our clients. We're looking to stop them from dating other people, that they're in a committed relationship. That's right. Is there anything wrong with that? Again, we're the only business that I know where somebody doesn't say, hey, here's, you go to a doctor's office, they make you sign shit that you're going to pay for. You go anywhere, they make you sign stuff that you're going to pay for. Why should this be different? And I'll tell you why, because the general perception is we're free. I've had people say, well, you're free. And I'm like, well, I'm not free. I'm easy, but I'm not free. Okay? The point is that this is your business. You need to say to yourself, I value my time and my expertise, even when you don't have any expertise. In this business, you value your time so that you want to be paid for your time. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't let people ever make you feel there's something wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it. And who should you sign these forms with?
Managing broker.
No. Who of your clients should you sign these forms with?
All of them.
Mm-hmm. Everybody. I say that because I had a woman in class last year who was doing the 30-hour post. And I always bring this topic up because I like to see where people are 2 years in, right? And I said, how many people, use buyer broker firms? About half the room, so I was surprised. And this woman says, I always use it. I'm like, great. She goes, except once. Who do you think she didn't use it with?
Her selling agent, herself.
Who did she not use it with? What client did she not use it with? Family. Very good.
Oh.
Family. And she was Hispanic, right? So her cousin, she doesn't have any other sisters, but her cousin, same age, right? Like they were like sisters. Cousin calls her up and says, hey, I want you to help me find a home. The cousin, that's great, let's go. So she got all her parameters, you know, they went and they shopped and they went on Saturday, looked at 5 houses, went and got some dinner, went dancing, right? They had a great time. They did this 4 or 5 Saturdays in a row. Then one day the cousin outside calls the cousin inside her and says, guess what? She's like, what? She goes, I bought a house. The cousin's like, what do you mean you bought a house? She said, I bought a house. She goes, was it one of the ones we looked at? She's like, no. Funny story. She said, you know how we're looking in that one area? Yeah, there's a grocery store there. She goes, yeah. She said, I went to shop at that grocery store to make sure that I liked the layout and all that. She says, I was in line and I was telling the cashier, oh, the reason I'm shopping here is because I'm looking for a house. Would you believe the lady behind me was a realtor? And she said, I just listed a house yesterday. Why don't you come take a look? And the cousin said, sure. So they put their groceries in the car and they went over and took a look.
She had the contract.
She did. $825,000 house.
Ooh.
I did the math for you. $21,500 in commission.
Oh, I wouldn't talk to her anymore.
Well, that's what I said. I said to her, oh, I bet it's tough at Thanksgiving around your house. She goes, my cousin is dead.
Yeah.
Dead.
Yeah.
I am not gonna. She goes, she screwed me. Huh? I
Well,
looked at her and I said, oh, sister.
Screw yourself.
That's right. Your cousin didn't screw you. You screwed yourself. You know when you screwed yourself? Is when you treated your business like family. Because your cousin didn't know you were doing this for just the money. Okay? She thought you were a cousin, you're a sister. You wanted her to be happy. She didn't realize that you were planning to get paid on this deal. So she didn't think about it, right? She says, well, what was I supposed to do? I said, it's real simple. You blame the higher authority. You say, cuz, here's the deal. Anytime I work with a buyer, my company requires that I sign a buyer broker agreement. Let me walk you through this so that you understand that you're going to be responsible to my company for a commission if we don't follow the rules, right? And you buy something. Now, when the cousin's standing in line, the person says, hey, why don't you come see the house? The cousin goes, you know what? Give me the address. I'll have my realtor call and set up an appointment. Because all of a sudden, it's going to cost her money. She is going to then follow the guidelines. Follow? That's it. You should always do this. Okay? It'll protect you. Remember yesterday when, I don't remember who went to Botswana, but, Bill was in Botswana, right? And you and Maria called that Anita, and Anita showed up to show you the house, but Bill gets paid because he showed you the house first. Yeah. The way Anita could have protected herself is when she sat down with you and Maria, said, I work with buyer broker agreements. You already know you've got a broker. So if you sign this with her, you're going to be stuck for the commission. So she goes, we're not going to sign it. Well, then Anita goes, well, then I'm not showing you the house. Then she didn't waste her time. Then she didn't do all the work and not get paid. Like I said, when do you want to know you're going to get screwed? Up front, where you got very little time, or down the line after you got all this time in, right? So keep in mind, that's what we're talking about. The other two, by the way, most people in Illinois, most brokers do open buyer agency, meaning they'll just walk around people and show people and hope that they get paid. Not the great ones. The ones that are, 10, 20, 30, 50, $100 million people, they don't go out of their offices without. It's always the newbies. What?
They're not fighting for the people.
That's right, because they got clients, and this is, all you do is say, this is how I work. Who's going to argue? Well, other agents don't. I know. This is why I'm a better agent. It's because I'm committed to you. These other agents just pray that they get in the way of you buying something. I'm going to actually help you buy your dream home. All right. What do we got in time? 12:37. So here's what I want to do. Let's finish this chapter real fast, and then we'll go to lunch. How's that? All right, because then we'll be set up for the next chapters. All right, so I told you your most valuable asset as a realtor is what the other day?
Time.
Time, very good. So what you've got to learn to do is you've got to learn to qualify buyers. Now, I'm not talking about financially qualify them. I taught you how to do that the other day, right? I'm talking about what do they want. The issue is buyers go, I don't know. That's because nobody's ever asked them, right? So what you need to do is you need to assess their needs and their wants. Are needs different from wants? Mm-hmm. Angel doesn't think so. He didn't say yes. So I'm going to prove it to you, Angel. You ready?
No, I know somebody wants a big house, somebody wants a good school, somebody wants to be close to.
But there's needs versus what they want, okay? So let me ask you this. If you won the lottery, you had all the money in the world that you needed, what kind of car would you buy?
I don't know. Expensive one.
Give me, you must know one that you would buy. What about you?
I already have my dream car, but it's a Jeep Wrangler.
So you have all the money in the world, you would have a Jeep Wrangler. That's it. I would have a Lamborghini. What about you?
An Escalade.
An Escalade. All right, now, do you drive an Escalade now?
I used to.
No. I don't drive a Lamborghini. You drive a Wrangler, okay? So the difference is this. Everybody wants, except for numbnuts down there, everybody wants more than what they need. You need something to take you from point A to point B, right? So it's the same in real estate. None of us are driving the car that we want except her because we want more than what we need. We need something to get us from point A to point B. Same thing in real estate. People want more, but keep in mind the one thing that we have to juggle is what they can afford, right? Okay, so what you have to do is you have to figure out their needs, you have to figure out their wants, and you have to get them all of their needs and as many of their wants as you can get in the price that they can afford to pay. Now, the way you figure this out is you ask questions, okay? The average realtor asks 15 questions before they start looking for homes. I ask 200 questions. I sit down ahead of time with Maria and an Angel, and I walk through all the different areas of the house. What do you want? What do you don't want? What do you like? What do you don't like? So that I take all that information, put it in the MLS, and it spits out everything that meets their criteria. Then I look through pictures because there's some criteria that don't show up in the MLS, they'll show up in pictures. Like, do you like an open kitchen or a closed kitchen?
Open.
Open. So everyone that's got a closed kitchen, ding, 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 ding. You're never going to see those houses because they don't meet your wants, your needs, right? Within the price range. And so I do that for every single room of the house. So I get all that information, and then I get it down to a few. So I send, let's say I send Maria and Angel 8 properties. And I said, rank them. And they rank them. Sometimes people say, I don't like this at all. And great, gone. And then I say, I'm going to show you 5 homes. One of those homes is going to be your new home. Now notice I didn't say, oh God, I hope you like these homes that I'm going to show you. I set the expectation that you're going to choose one of the 5 homes that I show you because I have listened to your needs and your wants, and I've taken everything out there. I've done all the legwork. You don't need to do the legwork. I've done it all, and these 5 meet all of your needs and as many of your wants for the price that you want to pay. Then I go show them the house, okay? Then I demonstrate this. I demonstrate the house to the buyers. Meaning, you want an open kitchen? Here's an open kitchen. Maria wanted, a bathroom that had a separate tub shower. Here's the separate tub shower. Here's this. Here's that. Okay. This isn't HGTV and House Hunters where they say, you go walk through the house. I'll be by the pool having a smoke. Let me know what you think. That's all bullshit. Okay. We show them and present them the house. and say, Angel, one of the reasons that I picked this home to show you is because this and this and this and this. It meets all of your needs and wants. Follow? Keep in mind, this is a sales job. You're selling them the house. Then, once you've shown them the houses, you whittle it down. Can they buy 5 houses? No, they're going to buy 1. So we got to get it down to 1. Ding that, ding that, ding that, right? Now we're down to 2. Let's talk about those 2. We go back and forth, right? And then we settle on 1. And I say, okay, we need to put an offer in this. And Maria says, we want to think about it. I said, Maria, you don't need to think about it. The issue is this, is there was somebody in that house over the last couple of days that told their realtor that they had to think about it. Now, I don't know Maria, but does Maria like to be in second place? Does she like to be in first place or second place? First place. So Maria, do you want somebody else to put an offer in that house before you do, and you have to wait for them to decide? Or do you want to be the first person in the door? I said, because if we put your offer in first and they accept your offer, you have 5 days during the attorney review period to think all you want. And if you don't want it, you just tell your attorney no, they got to return your earnest money. So you do your thinking after they have accepted the deal. Because if you don't, somebody else will. Okay? So you take it away from them and say, you don't want to be in second position. Okay? So you fill out the offer, you negotiate the offer back and forth on their behalf. Okay? Then you STP and FU, and we all know what FU is?
Follow up.
Yeah, not that other one. Okay? STP is stop the procrastinating. Follow up with people. The best answer you can get is yes. The next best answer you can get is no, because at least you know. The worst answer you can get is maybe. Maybe means they're too wishy-washy. Okay? So we need to get to yes, because yes gets you paid. Now, while you're qualifying buyers, you're going to get confidential information from them. Okay? And what did we say yesterday? If you're representing 2 buyers, 2 or more buyers, clients on the same property, what was that big long word? Who remembers it from yesterday?
Dual agent. Well, I mean.
No, dual agency is buyer seller.
Oh.
2 buyers, same house. Contemporaneous. You're going to need to remember that. They're going to ask you about contemporaneous offers. 2 buyers that you represent interested in the same house. Now, how do you get out of this one? Well, okay, it's the same thing as it is on the selling side. Purposes filled, expiration, substantial destruction, operation of law, mutual agreement, death, breach. All of these are the ways to get out of a buyer-broker agreement. Now, once the agreement, whether it's seller or buyer, is terminated, no further duties are owed to the client, except you have to account for their money or property. So when my listing ends with Angie, I got to give her back her keys, right? And we must keep confidential information confidential for how long? Forever and ever. Amen. Done. First, oh wait, here, let's look at the math. 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, yeah. You do the first 10, she'll do the last 10. Don't do the 2 math questions. You each have 2 math questions.
I did the last time?
Yeah.
So I do the first thing.
You do the first 10, just don't do the 2 math questions. Resume recording. All right. Question 1. A listing taken by a real estate licensee is an agreement between the seller and the sponsoring broker. Correct. 2. Which of these is a similarity between an exclusive agency listing and an exclusive right to sell listing?
C.
Both types of listings give the responsibility of representing the seller to one broker only. Correct. Now, look at B on that one. A lot of people, when they get this wrong, will pick B. Under both, the seller authorizes only one particular broker to show the property. So the word that makes that wrong is show. Do you want one broker to show it? You want all the brokers to show it, right? That's right. So again, that one word is changing the answer. So good job. 3, a listing agreement expires on May 2nd. Which of these events would not terminate the listing?
A.
On April 15th, the seller tells the broker he's dissatisfied with the marketing efforts. You go, okay, I'll try better. 4, the seller has listed his property on an exclusive agency listing with the broker. If the seller sells the property himself during the term of the listing to someone introduced to the property by the seller, he will owe the broker no commission. Very good. 6, under a listed agreement, the broker is entitled to sell the property for any price as long as the seller receives $185,000. The broker may keep any amount over what the seller needs to net. This type of listing is called a net listing. 7, which of these is a similarity between an open listing and an exclusive agency listing? A, under both, the seller avoids paying the broker commission if the seller sells the property someone the broker did not procure. 8, the final decision on a property's listed price should be determined by D, the seller, based on your CMA and your advice, right? 9, which of these statements is true of a listing contract? 8, it is an employment contract for the professional services of the broker. Skip 10. 11, the seller listed a residence with the broker brought an offer at full price, satisfying the terms of the listing for the buyers who were ready, willing, and able to pay cash for the property. However, the seller changed her mind and rejected the buyer's offer. In this situation, the seller owes a commission to the broker. Correct. 12, a CMA can help the seller price the property. Skip 13 and 14. 15, a real estate broker and a seller enter into a listing agreement that contains the following language. Seller receive $100,000 from the sale of the subject property. Any amount greater than $100,000 will constitute the broker's sole and complete compensation. Which of these statements is true?
B.
The broker may offer the property for any price over $100,000, but the agreement may be unethical. True. 6, a broker enters into an agreement with the client. The agreement states in return for the compensation agreed upon, broker will assist client in locating and purchasing a suitable property. Broker will receive the agreed compensation regardless of whether broker, client, or some other party locates the property ultimately purchased by the client. What kind of agreement is this?
I said A, but I don't think that's right.
Well, no, because it's a buyer agreement. Exactly. It's not a listing.
Correct. So it's C, right?
C, exclusive buyer agency agreement. Correct. 17, Illinois licensees may C, submit a listing to local MLS. 18, under what condition is a disclosure of contemporaneous offers required?
Is it A?
No. That's dual agency.
It's D. I gotta get
D, when the buyer's agent is acting as designated agent for more than one buyer interested in buying the same property. Correct. 19, Illinois requires listing agreements contain
C.
An automatic expiration date or statement of client's right to terminate. And 20, in Illinois, what brokerage agreements must be in writing?
B.
B. No, not B.
A.
A. Exclusive brokerage agreements must be in writing. All right. Let's break for lunch. Okay, so it's 2 minutes to 1. Why don't we say 1?